We are live.
Hey, it's the track I made.
Are we going to be posting again to say, hey, we're here?
Oh, yeah, we should do that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Review
Is everyone ready to watch the video?
Tres. Es da Gorge.
Right. Are you guys... I have no idea what you said. Are you guys ready to watch the video?
Yes.
Uno minuto.
Oh, okay.
Gotta scroll. Scroll aggressively. Alright. I'm ready.
The sound of aggressive scrolling. 3, 2, 1, go.
Long intro.
So I think my favorite part about this track is the intro.
It's
no, not again. That's like OTDE in a nutshell.
It's actually not
two reviews today, and both of them had the best intro.
This is a pretty great intro, but it's definitely not...
Not better than the track itself, yeah.
Track. It's very long and monotonous.
Slow fade.
Though
it's very subtle that it's actually a video and not a picture.
Yeah. Though it sets it up well.
Yeah.
Alright, you react.
Okay. So there were people who actually said that lamp was their favorite part of the track, and it's very pretty. I'm just surprised that like something so small made such a big impact.
I think it was one person.
It was
one person, yes. But I actually thought that for a while as well while he was making it. I was like, that is a very cool lamp.
But why though?
So can you react to something other than the lamp while the track is playing?
There's like fucking crazy trees and bridges and shit, and you're like on the lamp?
Yeah.
OTDE, you brought this on yourself.
The tree was actually, like, in terms of the shading, you have all this implied line for the grass and hatching for everything else, and the tree was void of any of that. So the tree just sort of...
my biggest regret in making this track.
I'll try not to say I told you so.
No, you can...
Did he tell you so, OTDE?
I did.
Oh.
So, I'm a bad boy.
Alright, react to the reef.
That looks like an artichoke. Right in the center there, that's an artichoke.
Best reaction. Opal Reacts, coming 2017, a new TV show.
Looks like an artichoke.
I was like, I can't draw lotus flowers, and Rabid was like, you can draw a lotus flower, and then I draw, he's like, see, that's a lotus flower, and now everyone's like, it looks like an artichoke, and I'm like, I told you so.
Join us next time when it looks like a rutabaga. But no, and then there's the eye of the octopus, easily a defining moment to the track.
That would be the perfect thumbnail, is that moment with the fish hook.
I think if you didn't explain the text scenery at the bottom in the thread, I wouldn't have really understood how it fit in with the story. But it does fit whenever you describe it.
So because the description's there...
Yeah, because people have ideas for... I guess... Does that take away? Like, do people not like that whenever you have to read something to understand it?
Some people think it takes away and some people don't. But there's a lot of contemporary art, like mainstream mainstream contemporary gallery art that's like meaningless without reading the description.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's necessarily bad. It's just like I don't know. It's something to be aware of. Do you want the track to speak for itself, or is there context?
Right. And it's something that I've been dwelling on for a while now, mostly because I have a track that's about to be released, not soon, but later, that will have to have a slight paragraph explaining it.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Also, there's the part about Anton in the credits there.
What did Anton... Oh, having his favorite part be the lantern that I made
ages ago.
Like, seriously, what the hell, man? I spent days on that goddamn octopus and maybe like a minute on the lantern.
I'd be surprised if you drew it in a
minute, you are.
But
like,
I don't think we should be talking about this in this review.
I understand where he's coming from, because it was a really cool
run out of subject material without talking about the lantern, so we were going to go back to the beginning, and we were going to watch it from the beginning in slow motion, and talk about things. And,
Yes, boys.
Oh, you know what you should do, OTD, before we do this? Recite again the critique of Commander Coke that you thought was spot on.
Right.
All right. I will read it word for word because it is perf. It is perf. I love Commander Coke for giving me this review. All right. He said, quote, I'm going to begin by saying that despite whatever criticism follows, I thoroughly enjoyed watching this track. It's really a treat to see a full scenery project, and your track is awesome. I wouldn't give this kind of feedback if I didn't think highly of it. Thanks, BB. I love you. The track as a whole lacks consistency and style. You can look at the different inspirations pretty easily. That's my biggest issue. Drawing from other people is great, but in this case, the styles do not mix well. There's not an overcasting unity in style or theme. If the theme is random, it makes the whole track a little random. There's a fun little chomping dino at the beginning, but nothing ever similar shows up again. The style in which you made the octopus is so great and fresh, super unique stylistically, but that linear geometric shading is never seen in anything else. Why? Pick a few key decisions and implement them within multiple parts of the track, if not the whole thing, and it will feel much more unified. If Encetocene has one positive, Rabid, you're going to start frothing in the mouth here, it is a sense of unity. Random as hell, but it's all obviously done by the same hand. If this is an exercise in toying with styles, then perhaps disregard all of that. But I don't get the feeling that was the goal of this project. It kind of was, but... Another example is the grassy stuff hanging off the cliffs. I'm a sucker for that Wilster Forbidden Paradise style, but in the context of the rest of the track, it feels out of place. The grass uses implied line. Many lines don't connect to each other, but the human eye instinctively knows to finish it. It's a trick I've used a lot in the past, but that's the only instance implied line is used, so it feels out of place. You do sort of use it on the stone in the underwater section, but I'm still not sold on the grass. The underwater portions, including the coral, are my favorites. But once the man-made objects start appearing, I become a little jarred and confused. Am I in the water still? I know it is, but 223 lacks any visual reference to water. Perhaps just a subtle reminder like bubbles, and I think the octopus could benefit from some bubbles. It feels really stationary, which would work just fine if his tentacles were not tangled all across the place. They're not resting on anything, so bubbles would be appropriate. The diagonal line shading on the underwater bridge isn't really necessary and doesn't make any sense because it doesn't occur to everything underwater. The tree at 52 deserves a little more definition. 141 to 157 is easily the best part of the track because it is incredibly unified. What you're doing there is working 100%. The silhouette at 219 doesn't work.
Okay, wait. You're going to have to back up because I'm trying to put on the screen what he's talking about, but too many things go by. Okay, so the cross-hatching, here's the shading on the tree, or the lack of shading on the tree. What was the next one?
141 to 157, that's just the underwater section.
Oh, yeah.
Is easily the best part of the track because it's incredibly unified. The silhouette at 219, we're talking about that black silhouette shark boy.
There we are. Go ahead.
The bridge at 236
go ahead and talk about it.
Where is that where it is?
Yeah, here it is.
I see it. Is cool on its own. It doesn't really vibe with the track as a whole, though. You could have done something much more interesting with the ending. Those are my ramblings. Again, I know you want to improve and I want to help if possible, but feel free to disagree and or ignore me. Laughing face. Lots of things to consider there. Lots of things I'm definitely going to take with me into my next scenery project.
I disagree with the ending part.
I thought the ending was great.
From a design standpoint, it is simplistic.
Thank you.
But it is good.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the ending. I like my ending. But
there was one other thing that I felt. I agree with him that it could have used a reminder once he goes below the coral reef, that we could have used a little more of a reminder to remind us that we're in water, like down here by the whole science lab area. But I don't know that bubbles would be that. I mean, that's what CC would use because he loves using bubbles, and they're in every single track that he does, except Happily Ever After, I think. But
it's all underwater.
But I don't think bubbles should be the only way we indicate underwater, and I think there are other ways to do it. But yeah, that's my thoughts. I feel like I felt like if there was more coral reef stuff down there, that would have been a better way to
also
remind us that we're in that same area.
Just out of curiosity, there's that Japanese-looking sign in there. Does that say anything specific?
It says the Gorge.
There you go. That's something I never knew.
Like, there's some here, but then when we get over towards the more, like, man-made stuff, it starts to feel like, are we still underwater?
Yeah.
Like, this area is, like, hard to... If this was just a screenshot, I would definitely not think we're underwater. So that's something I didn't really think about as you were making the track, but then I thought he was right. But then I don't know if bubbles... I don't know. Yeah. I'm skeptical of CC recommending bubbles.
Like, let's say there's some sort of air compressor that's pumping air into the...
That could be cool, yeah. Well, or you could just use bubbles, but I just feel like...
Yeah.
CC recommending bubbles is like... CC recommending bubbles is like Tech Dog recommending vertical line shading.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Like, probably good advice, but if you follow it too much, your tracks will just start looking like theirs.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna go from the beginning, and maybe I can talk a little more about things, since...
Yeah. This will be your time to shine.
Sure.
You've gone through all the opinionated stuff.
Here we go.
Oh, I want to pause it here to say, I just noticed there's these holes in this hill.
Yeah.
I don't really know why.
Let's chalk that one up to me making that scenery in like 2011.
Yeah, and I think that's also probably the reason for the bridge, this bridge above him that you can't really see. You see right at the end, just because it was so old. Yeah. So yeah, if you make tracks slightly more quickly than 5 years, and it may be more unified, or make them like I did and make it a progression throughout the course of the track, which also works. But when you see like this at the beginning, and then the reef, and then that bridge at the very end, I didn't think about this at the time while we were working on it, but it does stick out as like that doesn't look like the same style, you know?
Yeah.
I love this trick you use with the broken bridge here. Because it works.
You told me to do that, believe it or not.
What?
I think you told me to do that, believe it or not. Or I was like, what if one of the pillars was broken, and you were like, yeah.
I didn't come up with the idea. I tried very hard not to ever pitch you any actual ideas of my own. But yeah, I just really liked how it worked, because it physically feels right. Like, it feels like, yeah, this is what happened if Bosch was on this bridge and he hit that. That's what he would do. And it also feels like, it also like justifies the. I mean, I don't know what the track looks like here, but it gives you a way to cover up the track lines that are there. So.
Yeah, there's sort of a bump, and there's a bunch of stuff which is hidden in those crosshatches. Similarly, this rail.
Oh, yeah.
Similarly, another thing is hidden in those crosshatches.
These big arm things and this thing off to the left that is at the end, they are a little random. Just
early
I'm
installment
sure
weirdness.
just because they're early, yeah. And then the dinosaur, of course, which I think I encourage you to keep, but then we never revisited it, so maybe not the best idea.
I was like, because I was going to be like, I'm going to be Schiller.
Yeah. And then, it would have been cool if we'd revisited it, but yeah, because we didn't, it's sort of awkward.
There's definitely parts I could have done to make this more unified, but I don't regret having all this stuff, because it reminds me of what I used to do as a scener.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The supports directly to the left of Bosch right here, there's no shading on them, and that makes them look a little flat. So that's just a thought.
Yes.
You don't have to respond directly to everything I'm saying, by the way.
I like saying yes, though. Yes is my way of acknowledging also this thing, yeah.
Yeah, this thing. It's
what exactly about this thing is bad? Just is it because you can't see the hill through the second pillar over there, and it looks
sort
like
of? It looks like a line, and nothing more. It's just a line, and it's obviously going into the bridge, but then there's nothing here to make you give you any suspension of disbelief that it's anything other than just a line that's going
Right.
to go into there. So you don't see it as anything other than, oh, look, there's a piece of track.
Up until the point where you see the grass at the bottom.
I have to say, I love the tentacle. I love all the tentacles. But this was the first one you did, and you sort of didn't know what the rest was going to be like, that you're going to draw a gigantic octopus, but it worked out really well.
Yeah.
I love these boards just because I'm a sucker for things that are like physically make sense in a two-dimensional space, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm always love it if something is part of like a big contraption or it's hanging off of something. I would like draw, like, anyway, that's beside the point. But I have whenever I would scribble something on a piece of paper when I was in like high school or whatever, it would always be mechanically sound, I guess you could say. So I just like that.
Yeah.
That's just me. But
I remember you mentioning that like years ago.
I love the curvy bridge. It's a great solution to an interesting problem.
Reminds me of Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of this track reminds me of Dr. Seuss.
And the tree, we already covered the tree though.
Tree needs more.
I love this support. This support looks a lot better than the one that I comment on that I didn't like. I kind of like these. They're different. These supports here, they're different, but I don't know.
The black ones?
Yeah, I felt like maybe they could have been used more, but I like them.
Yeah.
To make it feel a little less random. But I liked how you dealt with the loop here.
Yeah.
Like how we're gonna see that. It works, even though it's a little strange. It still works.
Well, welcome to Dr. Seuss land.
now
more Dr. Seuss.
More Dr. Seuss. Yeah. See, now you know why why I always am like, scening loops.
Yeah.
Because the only way to do it well is a rail, pretty much.
Look at that rail. This part's really complicated.
And this part is... Oh, I always felt like this part right here is like it's just the single lines felt a little...
Leaves much to be desired.
A little bit. Not a lot, but just, yeah. I love this part, how dense it is and how mechanical it is, and how everything feels called for, though. It's not like there's anything random. It's like they all have a purpose, and he uses them all, you know? Okay, the cottage.
It's awful. It's awful.
Okay, I like the cottage itself, but I don't understand where it is in space. You know, it's
on
like
a bridge.
Is it on the bridge?
Well,
is it on
actually,
the
I guess
hill?
it's sort of behind the bridge.
It's sort of behind the bridge, but then below the bridge is just water. Anyway, you already know that. I'm pretty sure.
Thatched roof cottages.
I love the solution that you came up for this part, but I guess I'll get to that when we actually get to the part. But how the wall's crumbling and then there's this water wave.
Yeah.
I see CC's point about the
Shading.
diagonal shading.
I agree.
I don't know what you could have done otherwise, though, because if you just had
Yeah.
a wavy line, it wouldn't have read as underwater very easily.
Right.
And as you've seen from some of the Mysterias, sometimes it's a little...
Sometimes, yeah, Mysteria 2, I always get confused about where we're going underwater, you know? And so this clarified it, even if it is sort of awkward because it's not reused elsewhere. I don't know. I have mixed feelings.
It's reused on the other side.
Anyway, I love this solution to this hell of an area to scene by having the water line and then having the crumbling bridge and having these two rails. It works really well, and I'm sure no one looked at that and thought, wow, that was really hard to scene, which is great, because that means you did a good job.
Really
I love
fucking
these
hard to
supports.
see. Just to clarify.
I love these supports, these little curvy things. It's just like, it's so Rube Goldberg, and I love it. Like, it's unnecessary. But they fill up space, you know? It was potentially an empty area, and you could have just done really simple supports, but because you put that there, it fills out the area a little better. When my friend saw this, it didn't know much about Line Rider. He was like, "What was that? What was that?" When he does the cramule.
What, the trick?
The cramule, yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like it didn't really have a place in the track, but you couldn't exactly get rid of it. So.
Yeah.
Good job with the pinch, though. especially because this bridge, this rail thing has been used before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the tentacle, and I like how you covered up that integration. Let me go back again. I always forget how much of a difficult area this is to see because it's executed so well. So right
This is
here,
hard.
if anyone can see, this is actually a single line that curves up and then down. And so the bridge goes behind the tentacle. Part of the line's obscured by the shading of the tentacle, and then the rest of the line is the inside of the tentacle. I just feel like it's brilliant enough that I always forget that it was difficult at all.
This was surprisingly hard to see in parts.
The reef?
Not the reef, the tentacle, the crashing bits.
I guess I remember that it was difficult for you to make it consistent was the big thing. Because it's such a big monument, I guess. It's not even really a monument, but it's such a big thing in the track that it's difficult to do consistently. I remember talking to you about unity in the reef and how it was important, and so I was very happy when CC was like, yeah, the reef is the most unified part of the track.
Because I remember I had a distinct process for this part. I basically came up with a bunch of different species, and I named them for you. And so there's wispy grass, there was spoopy coral, and there were the water sausages. So those were the main species. And I added the mushroom because I felt the need for space, I guess.
I now you know why Manuel's crossing is so annoying for sceneries as well, because this part this part, as you can see, is still kind of breaks the immersion a little bit. So I don't know what else you could have done, but
can't win.
Well, you make a track that doesn't suck. I love that ladder, by the way, that we just passed it. Oh, and this is a lot better in terms of how it's dealt with, because you can clearly see in context it's part of something, as opposed to the one that's earlier where it's just a line that goes through. So anyway, just in contrast. This part I felt was a little bare, especially because the music hits like a big climax right here, and you're like, what am I supposed to be excited about? You know? So that's just... And that was just by nature of the music being chosen late in the process, and after the track existed. And, well, I guess even having the music picked out how it was going to go before finishing the scenery may have been a good idea, but anyway, that's my thought.
Fishing line into the big old hook.
Okay, Opal, did this read as a fishing line and a fish hook to you?
Once you saw the fish hook, yes.
Yeah, that's what.
But then again, I also can't speak for anything because I talked with him a lot while he was making it, and he was like, "Hey, look, there's a fish hook."
Oh, yeah, that's true. We both did. Damn it, we need someone who doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh well. And then I like this bridge because it's the only bridge that's like really underwater, so I find it was different. But I can see CC's objection that it's like different, but whatever.
No, that's not the one he has objections to.
Oh, which one was it?
The rope bridge at the end.
Oh, at the very end. Okay. So never mind. This one. Anyway, I like this one. The silhouette, though, he's right.
Yep, he's right.
Silhouette was. If you would have had more silhouettes, it would have been fine. If all the fish were silhouettes, it would have worked great. But because it's just the one. It was the kind of thing where you drew this fish as a silhouette, and then you drew the clownfish up there, and I didn't want to be like, that should be a silhouette. I was just like, it's fine.
Yeah.
You already heard me complain about this area and how it was flat.
Yeah.
I love the idea of the area. I don't think anyone would have picked up on what it was without like a big sign being like research or something. Then I think maybe people would have picked it up. But like, and then also being flat or whatever. But I liked the thing itself, I guess. I mean, I like the way it was drawn and stuff. Okay, I should skip ahead a little bit because I'm running out of time. Oh, the octopus. I don't have anything bad to say about the octopus. Oh, I like this part, how you covered up with the shading. This is Usually, I'm not a fan of covering parts up, but in this case, it makes sense and it works, and it doesn't take you out of the moment at all. Because he doesn't like quickly change direction by something you can't see, you know.
He just goes.
And even if he did, he's close enough to the other little hill-looking area that it looks like he's just affected by that.
Yeah, well, to someone who knows Line Rider, it looks like a granule, but to the average person, it just looks like he's riding on his face.
Right.
Which is, yeah. And then, yeah, this is cool. I still feel like this area is a little empty.
Yeah. He's going so fast at that point that.
But if there's like repetitive detail when he's going fast, it looks so much cooler than if there's just empty space.
This is
in
true.
my opinion. I just noticed that the tentacle doesn't go behind the bridge, sort of, but I like it. I just noticed that just now.
I think without the negative space there, we wouldn't be able to tell what the bridge was doing at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And I like the use of splits to like have the tentacle reappear. I thought that was really cool and an effective way to end the track. And I like the simplicity of the title. Though he is right that it doesn't like it brings the story to a screeching halt when you have giant text floating in the sky. So that is a thought, but it's also a cool aesthetic for the ending.
It's thumbnail material, is what it is.
Yeah, it is. It is. Is it the thumbnail?
It is the thumbnail.
Anyway,
that's why I did it.
Anyway, that's all I have to say, and now we're at 26 minutes. So,
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point to wrap it up. We went through it twice now.
Yes, we did.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
We're all biased. Quick reviews. We're all biased. That's our tagline.
Da, 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 da.
I mean,
Changes
everyone's
every
biased.
episode,
so
doesn't
whatever. It does.
Yeah.